Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another creative and fascinating woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hi, I'm Brittany McVicker. I am based in Los Angeles, California, and this is my story. I was 13 when I learned what death really smelt like. It shattered my entire world, and I didn't even know she was dying. We spent 2 weeks in the hospital, and I thought that she would get better. And then one day, the hospital ICU was filled with people, and I was like, what is going on? And my sweet cousin had to pull me aside, and she was like, Brittany, your mom's not gonna make it. Like, this is the goodbye. And it just shattered my entire world. Beforehand, she was my best friend. I always describe it like we were Gilmore Girls. There was no one closer. Everyone wanted my mom to be their mom, and then to one day just hear that was going to be no more. It really isolated me, and it felt like, just you feel like you're abandoned. And when you're so young, and I didn't even start high school yet when this happened, you're kind of like, well, what's next? And then as I got a little bit older, I was like, wait, is this genetic? Am I next? What's like real life questions. And then thankfully, I came across this foundation called the Vasculitis Foundation. And I was doing a lot of research on this. I was really impacted by this thought that I was going to also pass in my mid 30s. And so I'm so glad that I found the Vasculitis Foundation. And I, through them, found out that it wasn't genetic. They actually don't know what really causes it, but they do know it's not passed down. And I felt like I had this whole lease on life. And it's so great because if you think that you have the symptoms, the Vasculitis Foundation will actually send someone out, a doctor, and to check you out and see what's going on. And that just eased so many things on my life where creative relationships, it made my thinking be restructured. And I decided life still is really short. I just have to go tell everyone like, hey, life's short. Let's go do something. Let's just live and figure out what that means. And I've learned through grief and being authentic and legacy what life is really about. And it brings me back to this quote by Michelle Obama. And she talks about the myth of being in this curated, perfect life. And essentially, life is life isn't always going to be the way that you think it is. And it's not going to be as exciting and all of these highs, and with TikTok, it's not going to be just something grand all the time. But it's these moments of silence where you're alone or you're just grabbing a coffee with a friend. It's in those moments that we realize the authentic and authenticity that's in life and legacy. There's so much that's being thrown at us that we have to be famous. We have to get the next million view TikTok. There's just so much pressure on everyone in the world right now. That's like whatever happened to it just being okay to just be you, to just being yourself, to not having some 5 million follower platform or I've got the most views. I think there's a lot missing with authenticity these days, and especially with AI being rolled out and how that's going to replace so many things. But the coolest part is that our fingerprints, our individual little prints are unique. No one else has them. That's something that AI or no one else can replicate. And that really brought me a whole new lease on life as well. Is that you get one shot, you're one person, and no one else has these little prints. So I just encourage and inspire everyone that it's okay to be yourself. It's okay to live out an authentic and real life. And I hope that anyone out there that is listening is able to tap into that and you're able to just feel, because sometimes feeling it can be really hard. For years I didn't feel and I tried to press everything away, like nothing was really happening, just numb. And I think that can be a really big challenge, is actually feeling something real. And I think people are so starved for something that's not curated or something that chat gpt has come up with. There is so much power and value and stumbling over your words and just trying to figure out things to say. Not everything has to be perfect and curated, because that's what people really want to see. They want to see life. They want to see the rawness, the awkwardness, those quirks. That's what makes you you. And no one can duplicate that. No one can try to replicate you. And that's always something that I really try to stay true to, because it can be really hard and you get caught up in the trends of things. Also, I think it's really amazing when you can find a really good outlet for a lot of things like painting, or for me, I found a lot of healing in film and storytelling. And whenever you find those little niches, I think it can be really inspiring and it can really lead to other places. And I just really encourage anyone watching this that you have the auth- you have the audacity, authenticity to be real. And that's the legacy that our world is just starving for. And I just remember when I was a little girl and she was just wanting to be on a stage, wanting to be a little ham. And my mom knew that that was not the right time for it. And one day I grew up and God has given me a platform to share my story. And I'm able to be on a stage and in film, and I am so thankful for that. But it's not just my survival story. It could be someone else's permission slip, but this is real. This is life, and you get the chance to tell your story the way that you want it to.
Wow. Brittany, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story. You went through so much as a young child, So much pain for someone so young. And what's fascinating is what you've managed to do with that pain. And now how you are showing up as authentically you. I can't even imagine what it would be like for a 13-year-old girl to lose her mom. Now, you've kept the story buried for 15 years. What has given you the courage to share it now?
Mhm. Well, it's definitely being able to find that it's not genetic, honestly. Whenever I found out that whatever she had, it gave me a whole new lease on life.
Yeah.
And it really opened a lot of doors mentally for me. I'm still doing a lot of the same things that I was doing while it was buried, but nothing was really coming into fruition, like a lot of mental blocks.
Now, we were talking a little bit earlier before we started recording how if we keep these stories suppressed, they have to manifest in some way. They come out in illnesses. I told you my story of having congestive heart failure, but having that brush with death actually woke you up to life, right? To really live life to the full. So tell
Mhm.
us how your work with this foundation has evolved and why it's so meaningful to you right now.
I think it's so amazing because there's so many people that are going through the same thing I went
Mm,
through. Families with young girls, and the mothers are in the same situation, but this wonderful foundation can send out a doctor now. They didn't have this when my mom was going through it. They can send out the doctor, and the mom has a whole new lease on the life, and then that little girl gets to grow up with her mom, and being able to have a platform and share that, just the fact that there could be a family out there reading it, it's like I feel like Superman. You're able to stop
mm.
something, and it makes you feel really good.
So, as an actress, how has suppressing your grief impacted your creative work? And what changed when you began facing it?
It was stifling. It was suffocating. You could tell whenever you watched whatever I did that it just there wasn't something quite clicking. Whenever I would cry on film, it wouldn't be like real tears. And now that I've went through therapy and I have all those mental blocks gone, I'm able to share this story. It's
Mm,
opened up a whole new depth.
world.
Yeah, and I've been able to book a lot more. I'm in a lot more films coming out, and I'm
Mm,
able to actually connect with people. So,
that's amazing. Now, I know you talk a lot about authenticity. What does that word really mean to you in a world that's addicted to the filters, the Instagrams, and Hollywood perfection?
mhm. Especially, like you were saying with the filters, with AI, there's
Mm,
so much just you feel like a fraud
yeah.
whenever it's not your own words coming out. You no longer kind of look like yourself, which we all like fall victim to. But I think there's going to be this kind of like awakening that we're going to roll back and people are going to be so starved for something real. And then there's
Yeah.
so much value in that.
Mm, I love it. Now, you mentioned that art helped you heal. In what ways has storytelling or performance become your therapy?
It's just a huge way to be able to explore whenever I play another character.
Mm,
Like I played a woman back in 1888, and she was a saloon girl. She ran a saloon. And whenever I went into that research of it, I didn't know that that was pretty much the only way a woman could have a business back then. And they
mm,
actually were held in such a high political regard in the community. Um, I found out all this stuff through this research, and being able to tell that story was so interesting and how involved they were and the politics of that time. And actually, people needed loans or money. They were the ones with the money, and they were really pioneers in the business world for women. And I think it's so amazing to be able to learn these things and tell that story, because a lot of these stories, they're dying. It's like, what, where do you find it?
Yeah, we have to keep sharing and telling women's stories, otherwise they get buried and they die.
Yes. Yes.
So grief can be an isolating experience. What helped you move through it? And what would you say to others who are stuck in that dark place right now?
The only thing that really honestly helped me through it was my faith.
Mm,
There's a quote that says, if you believe in nothing, you'll fall for everything.
mm,
And I just remember I was grasping at straws. Um, to be very vulnerable, I remember I spent like a whole month in bed. I would go get something to eat and crawl right back into bed. And I think until someone has been in that position, it's really hard to understand. So I don't really know if time does heal. I think you learn how to use that sadness, that
mm,
particular energy, and turn it into a drive, and turn it into a way to support and help other people. So, anyone that's going through this, my heart just goes out to them so much. And I hope and pray that they find that drive and learn how to refocus that energy, because
mm,
someone down the street from you really needs to hear your story and to have that support system.
mm. Yeah, I read a book when I was grieving when my mom died during COVID that said our emotions are like our children. And when they come and they want our attention, you just have to sit with it for a while. So
Mm-hmm.
these emotions come, and if you try and push them away, the more they want your attention. But if you sit with it and just sit with the sadness, it passes through you. You'll find an hour, maybe 2 hours later, you're not feeling quite as sad as you were. And then the grief lifts a little bit, but it doesn't go away, as you're saying. It doesn't go away totally.
Mm-mm.
But it's just being able to sit with the emotions when they come, give them your attention, feel the pain if you have to, and it passes through you. And that's really how I managed to process, when I was grieving my mom when she died. Now, you use the word audacity as one of your core values. What does it look like to show up with audacity when you're feeling broken?
There is some days when you're broken, just to have the audacity to get out of bed, just
Mm,
to have the audacity to take power of that grief, that depression,
yeah.
to just show up to work, to school. That's having so much audacity when you know you could just lay in bed, you can just give up. I know if there's huge milestones in my life, like an 18th birthday, or I think about what if I was to ever get married, my mom won't be there. If I have kids, I won't have a mom to help me. And there's so many things that it could really hold you back in life. Or, a
Mm,
movie premiere, my mom's not there, but just to have the audacity to say, I'm gonna figure it out, to find someone that's been through this and share, like, have them share their story with you. That is
mm,
so much audacity to just push through. And it takes so much energy and to show up like that.
mm. So, what has been the most surprising response from people who've heard your story so far?
Oh gosh, so many people have reached out to me and have said really personal things. Like, I don't even want to get into some of the things people have said, but I mean, they're pretty much ready to give up. And they were like, I heard your story, it inspired me. I'm not giving up now. And that's a big thing to put on someone's shoulders, especially someone like me, to hear like, oh wow, okay, so you're facing something that big. And You saw something I said and you decided to keep going. I'm like, that's a bit.
That's a
That's a
lot of
bit.
pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, but I
Mhm.
think when you're given a platform, you do have a sense of responsibility in a way to be authentic.
Yeah,
So,
that is so good. Amazing.
mhm.
Now, you've described your journey as rediscovering your spark. What brings you joy or lights you up now?
I used to not be able to connect with people and, just the spark of anything wasn't there. And now it's just being
Mm,
able, like you and I, when we were just sharing stories and you were sharing your story with me, used to, it would just be like a brick wall and I would not have been able to process anything. And now that I've done the work, I'm able to really be touched by these things and take it in and use it as fuel to be inspired. And your story inspired me so much. And oh gosh, here we go again. I'm gonna cry my eyelashes off. It just really touched my heart. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to feel again like that and have that spark.
yeah, thank you. Now, I know that your personal loss shaped your purpose. Can you share more about this journey of the purpose you're on right now?
Yeah, I think every day it's just like something new, some fork in the road, and then you're always like, I'm not sure which way to go down. And then you end up going down the path that you were meant to go down. And I think whenever you do stick to your faith and your core values and what you believe in, that even though you have a closed door, or even if there is a fork in the road, your purpose still has a way of getting you to where you're supposed to be.
Mm,
It's just like a destiny thing. So I think that's where my purpose, it's guiding me, it's leading me.
that's just beautiful. Now, let's talk a little bit about Hollywood. What do you think Hollywood often gets wrong about women's stories?
A lot. A lot. I think you can definitely tell when there's a women-led team, when there's a
Yes.
woman director, a woman writer, and then you look at the credits and you're like, of course, this was all men, and you can see I'm not sure if I could say this, but how sexualized it was, or how it's like, come on, this doesn't need to happen. This was a good story. And so I think it's just if women told women's stories, they would be a lot better.
That is true. And that's what we're trying to do here with her story, right?
Yes, yes.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So tell us a little bit about Dogwood
Mhm.
and what made that project stand out.
So Dogwood is based in the rural kind of like Ohio, Virginia area back in the late 1800s. And I'm actually starring in it with Ruby Garnett, who's also our executive producer, and Eric Roberts, who is an Academy Award nominee. So big things happening. It's so
I,
great. And I think people are just really going to connect with the story and just it's a good family watch.
mhm,
It's a wholesome, good film. So I'm really excited for people to see it.
I love that. Now, what does empowerment mean to you compared to when you were starting your journey and now?
Oh, completely different. Empowerment is me being my authentic self. It's being, whether I say something and people are like, no, 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 that you shouldn't say that. But it's like, no, that's what needs to be said. I
Mm,
think when I first started out, you can see in the videos, I was so scared to say anything. And I just be like, yeah, yeah, huh? So I think it's so empowering in this day and age to be able to speak freely, especially as a woman, to be able to have a voice I think I read something that said this generation of women is the first generation that can be completely um, not dependent on any men,
Yeah,
which is a crazy statistic. And I was
yeah,
like, surely this is wild. So that's so empowering, and women are really ruling the world right now.
yeah. And there's a need for an injection of strong feminine energy in politics to balance out all the imbalances we're seeing in the world as well. All these
Yeah.
wars are so masculine and male driven.
Mm.
So what do you
Mm.
do to practice self-care while holding emotional space for others through your work?
I definitely get a good amount of sleep. I think,
Okay.
hanging out with friends, have to sacrifice maybe an hour or two of that to be able to get my sleep.
Yeah.
I really love this book called The Artist Way, and
Oh
it
yeah.
says to do morning pages. So I have to do my morning pages where you do like 3 pages every morning. And it's
I
just
love
streamlining whatever you're thinking.
yeah.
That's really self-care, is like nourishing the soul.
Mind, body, and soul for sure.
Yes, yes.
My last two questions are a bit futuristic. Well,
Mhm.
they're a bit of a thought experiment. In the one, I will teleport you into the past, then I'll teleport you into the future.
Okay.
So, if we could go back to the younger you, that little 13-year-old girl who had lost her mom, had no idea what life was going to be like without her.
Mhm.
Just in case there's a 13-year-old or a young girl who's listening to this podcast right now, what would you have wanted somebody to have said to you based on what life has taught you up until this point?
I don't think there could have been any words to say. I think sometimes people say things to people in those situations and it just does not come across well. People love to say, I know what you're going through. You don't, even if it seems like you went through the same exact scenario, you still don't. So instead of saying anything, if you're going through anything right now, I just want to give you the biggest hug and let you know that you really are not alone. Your story and your path is so unique, what you're going through. But if you hold on to your faith, I promise there will be a brighter tomorrow and you will see the light at the end of the tunnel. It will not seem like it maybe for today, tomorrow, but you'll get through this, and I am sending you so many hugs. Mm.
Thank you, Brittany. Last question. I'm going to teleport you into the future, and we are going to go and sit with the 90-year-old you. And maybe she's in her rocking chair, surrounded by her children, her grandchildren, her great grandchildren. Or knowing you, she's on a movie set directing another movie.
At 90? Yeah, you know me well.
So, if we could go and meet this 90-year-old woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? And I'll tell you the reason why I like asking women this question.
Mhm.
A lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in us, that she is that quiet voice that tells you go left, go right, say yes, say no. But we second guess ourselves, we look for answers all around us, but we forget to go within because we have all the answers.
Mhm.
So, what will you say to this wise woman who has led you up until the age of 90 when you finally meet her?
I would probably just cry, sit at her feet and hold her ankles and just cry. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we made it. We made it this far. I would thank her for all of her resilience. And I mean, a lot of people are going through so much anymore of just wanting to give up. I mean, life can be really really difficult. So I might be a little in shock if I was 90 years old, rocking chair or film set. I think I would be in shock at first, give her a hug, and then thank her for all of her resilience.
Absolutely beautiful. I have a little game that I play in that I connect with the energy of who I am becoming. When I get really stuck and I'm working on something and I can't figure things out, I go into my meditation and prayers before I sleep.
Mhm.
And sometimes I ask a very simple question like, so what is the next step? And then I'm in the shower the next morning and I have those light bulb moments where it just drops and I know exactly how to execute the next step. Or I
Mhm.
talk to people about what I'm working on. I share my ideas, my stories, and it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Each person I talk to gives me a piece to the puzzle. By the end of the week, it all comes together and it's beautiful, and I've got the answer. So, thank you for listening to Your Wise Woman, for using your gifts, for using your story to empower others who are going through grief, and just showing up as authentically you. It's very unusual for a young woman who's based in Hollywood to be the way you are. So please hold on to that. Don't lose that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I still get a little nervous talking about it. It's so raw. I'm always like, I'll get better at this with your help and practice.
You are amazing, Brittany. Thank you. Thank you for
Thank
gracing us
you.
with your presence today. And thank you to everybody who tuned in today. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We're a social impact movement with a focus to share the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, to inspire you, to energize you, but most importantly, to help take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So if you know someone who is grieving, who needs to watch this podcast to get some inspiration, please share it. If you are in the middle of your storm right now, the storm will pass. I'll be back again tomorrow, everybody, with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And bye for now. Thanks again, Brittany. Don't go away.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.